There we go. All right, cool. So, yeah, all right. So, yeah, say hi to chat. Jordan should be. Oh, so there you go. All right, so Jordan should be in here right now. All right, we got Javas Ghost and RC Franson in chat. All right, so a couple things. This is going to be one of the few live streams that I'm going to keep up on the channel. So I'll probably edit this later. And if you guys want to go check it out later, I'll have the kind of cut down version. If we've got like some hiccups here and there, you guys can check it out. So even if you guys kind of missed the stream, or if you have to leave, you guys will be able to watch it later. But yeah, we'll get into the Q&A real quick. So Jordan, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, and we'll kind of start off with that.
Well, as you know, my name is Jordan. I'm the founder of IWN Industries, and basically I manage the company and sit down with a board of people and decide what kind of systems we want to put together for the entire community.
Got it. So what kind of got you into this space to start with? Was it just like a PC gaming passion, or what kind of ended up happening there?
So what happened is before we were a company, we actually were one of the largest gaming communities in Halo for quite some time, and we decided we wanted to get into video editing and we wanted to experiment and just jump to PC. And believe it or not, one of my employees now, my best friend from the military, was really involved in building PCs, and he taught me everything and basically kind of educated me on what was going. And when he left for the military, I bought a HP Omen. And after spending about almost $1,000 plus taxes, like I kind of thought to myself, "Wow, this is absolutely not worth the money." And I said, "There has to be something out there that can help people and basically give a better price to performance." And after a while, I used to own a restaurant before doing this. I basically, sold it, and I put my funds into just learning and educating myself on what's going on out there, and that's how the company was formed. Kind of like by gamers for gamers,
Got it.
kind of like a model.
That's Razer's like literal their marketing gimmick. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I never knew that you own a restaurant. So are you always been have you always kind of been like that entrepreneur kind of style? Like you always want to own something of your own, and you're like, well, I like PCs, so might as well start a PC company.
In a sense, yeah. I always had like some management experience, and my families have always owned businesses, but I'm a gamer by heart. I love gaming, and I actually went to college for game development, and I wanted to, this is close to it. I'm helping people, fulfill their dreams, whether it's streaming or gaming or workstations, whatever it may be. So it's really close to, my passion.
Got it. That's really cool. So I mean, on that same topic, what kind of games do you play as a kind of PC gamer and person who builds gaming PCs and stuff like that?
So I kind of like to dabble in everything. I love strategy games, RTS, definitely FPS. I'm a huge Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield guy. But I like pretty much a mix of everything. I'm willing to try new things as well. I've been quite surprised by indie games on how, great they are. So,
So
there's
games
definitely a lot of
like
options.
what were some of the good indie games that came out? So you had Hades come out last year. Did you end up playing that one? That was one of my favorites.
I played I saw gameplay of it, but I actually like the one indie game that actually like shook me to my core and I was really surprised playing with my friends was a game called For the King, if you know what it is.
No, I don't. What is it?
Really? It's a really amazing game. So it's kind of like a turntable game. Each player takes turns, but you go across like the lands and you fight bosses, go through dungeons, and it's
Got
just
it.
absolutely insane. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, well, might have to check it out. So I'm assuming you're still not in that's still our HP system that you bought back. I don't know, however many years that was. So you built your
No.
own system, probably. I hope,
Yes,
being a
yes, I
gaming
did actually.
PC. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it one of your systems that you have on your own website, or is it like kind of a modified version of that, or is it just something that you went out and bought yourself?
Actually, yeah, it's actually a modified beta. It's just dumbed down a little. It's rocking a Ryzen 5 3600, a 3060, 16 gigs of RAM, and of course, liquid cooling and a Bazooka Max AMD board.
Got it. So I'm
So,
assuming it runs those indie games pretty well.
yes, yes,
Got it.
I definitely regret not getting a 3060 Ti, but yes.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So we'll kind of get into like the meat and potatoes of this here. So, first question here. So for the past year, people in the DIY community have had a pretty terrible time trying to get any sort of GPU for a build. So from your experience talking to vendors and distributors, has the shortage gotten better or worse? And what time would you think pricing and availability would get back to normal? There's a couple parts in there, so I'll give you some time to kind of go through
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so throw me the first subject so I'm not all over the place. I'll go one at a time.
Okay, so from your experience talking to vendors and distributors, has the shortage gotten better or worse?
Okay, the shortage. So yes, it's actually gotten amazingly better. At least for when you sit down with these companies like EVGA, we deal directly with EVGA, and we kind of have a middleman that is really great at what he does. Basically, what they say is they sit down with you and they say, "Hey, how many cards do you think you'll need a month?" And show us your website. They go through our website, they check through our builds, and basically based off, our volume, they help us out a lot and they give us cards. So if you're a company and you're getting directly from the manufacturer, yeah, you have no problem getting cards. Sometimes you may have to wait a few weeks for 3070s or 80s, but 3090s and other cards are no problem at all. So it just depends what you're looking for, really.
Got
Um,
it. So is
if
pricing
yeah.
returning back to somewhat normal for at least you guys? Because what you guys usually get half of retail pricing, right? So wholesale pricing, you guys probably get more deals than that too if you're buying in bulk. But as pricing,
yeah.
as pricing returned to somewhat normal for you guys as a distributor, or from your distributors, or is it still pretty high?
Pricing's actually excellent. It's just when you run the math and you go through every single card, every manufacturer, I would say on an estimate, has it anywhere from $60 to $80, but when you get into the 3090s and 80s, it's like $100 over. So it's not terrible, but it's definitely a little bit inflated, just a little. It's not as bad as, you see a 3090 on eBay for 2300. So a 3090 would cost, for us like around 1660 or 1700. So it's not bad, but it's like a $200, $150 difference.
Got it. So like, what's the availability of like a 3060 and 3060 Ti? Because those are kind of like the mainstream cards right now.
No problem
So
at
no
all.
problem. So you could get orders of hundreds of them if you would need them.
Basically they sat down with me and they're like, "Hey, if we can offer you 5 to 9 a week, can you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, we could totally do it." So that's why we switched every PC right now, like our Celsa, not to go off topic, but right now it's rocking a 3060 as its main card because they told us the 16 series is getting very low because of the RAM that's used to make them. So
Got it. So that's a good segue into that. So the main, because we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, and it was just some weird stuff. But Jordan was telling me, or at least I'm talking to Jordan. So you were telling me at the beginning of the stream, or before we even got in here, that the 16 series is kind of getting like, it's pretty much end of life and not being manufactured anymore, which is a little bit worrisome for you. Want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah, so it's really scary because, especially with one of my employees, Peyton, he's the one who taught me about all these PCs. He's like one of our experts that helps all the customers and everything. He even said it's kind of a widespread thing even across YouTube. Like budget PCs are dying out, and unfortunately the 16 series, they said the RAM that's used to make it is extremely rare to find and low right now. So they said it's a $15 difference from a 1660 Super to a 3060. You might as well just push people to the better card. So I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're going to have to do, So until things get better.
So from what I've been hearing from some of the channels that I watch, so I can kind of add a little bit to that, what's going on there with the RAM issue. So from what I've heard, for GDDR6, so for like the 1650 Super, 1660 Super, which both use GDDR6, it is, from what I heard, it is $10 a gigabyte for Nvidia to purchase that. And Nvidia also has to sell that to the AIBs. So it's like it's probably gonna be closed. So they sell the chip and then the memory with it, and then they have to sell that to the AIBs. So what you're pretty much saying is that because that memory is getting so expensive and those cards are supposed to be priced so low, it's just not worth them making it.
Yeah, the only thing they told us they will push out, and it's not even worth it compared to a 3060, is a 1660 Ti. However, the 1650 is end of life. They're going to stop producing it within the next few months. So they said don't even bother buying them anymore because we don't have them.
Got it. So, well, I feel like that pricing situation would affect the 3060 like pretty bad since that thing has 12 gigs of RAM on it, right? So if it's $10 for every gig of RAM, you're paying $120 just for the RAM on the card. Like you're not even making the card at that point. Like you don't even have the PCB layout or the die. Like it's just bare bones.
What's MSRP? 3060 was it 330?
Market going rate is like $500 for retailing, but yeah, 330 was the technical MSRP for the 3060.
Okay, so we get it for about like $40-$50 more than that.
So you get it for
under
for close to $400. Okay. So you don't really get that huge of a discount compared to, well, okay, so it might be a bigger discount because I know EVGA is just one of those partners. Well, you buy from EVGA, but they sell theirs for close to $510 if you can find one. That's just kind of the hard part is finding one that's going for retail.
I wouldn't mind doing Gigabyte, but here's the problem. Gigabyte, they said, is probably going to go bankrupt because they have absolutely zero cards in every warehouse.
Oh, you're kidding.
Zero. They're bad. Yeah.
Well, I know that there's been some problems with the they had some ransomware attacks right now. I don't know. They're a pretty big company. I doubt that they're gonna go bankrupt. But
not bankrupt, but the GPU lineup is definitely suffering. They could pump out motherboards and other things, no problem, but they're not doing GPUs.
Yeah, I think they might start to. From right now, I think it might make more sense for companies who really aren't into it to probably kind of move away from it because Gigabyte has kind of a big server, motherboard kind of presence. And plus that's where all the money's made for most of these things. So it's like probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to keep on going with the GPUs if they're getting ripped on when it comes to pricing. So on to the next question. What are some of the biggest things that you take into consideration when adding a new PC to the ones that you already offer on your site?
Oh man, let me tell you something. It's like a battle in the room when we're sitting around the table.
So top three then. So the top three things that you consider most when it comes to, like, if you had to add a new PC to the lineup, what are the top three things that you guys have to sit down and talk about the most?
Like, would we buy it if we weren't like part of the company is what we would say. I'm always the one that says I don't care if we don't make that much money. Like, we need to get budget builds, and they're saying, listen, budget builds are dying. We need to keep it in the middle. So definitely price to performance is definitely the first one. Second one is would we buy it? And the third one is we just take a look at other people in the market and we try to compare and go lower than them. We definitely like to see what's out there.
And that's like pretty much the main and only consideration. You don't have the other two there.
There's just a lot that goes into it, and I feel like if I name off like only three things, I mean it's fine. But definitely we like to take a look at the components too, like what's out there that's affordable that we can throw in to where we could save money, but the customer can save money, and it doesn't hurt like its lifespan a year from now.
Got it.
That's definitely another big thing, but. It's a lot of experimentation. It's a lot of blueprints. It's a lot of, it's harder now because AMD, we stepped away from AMD systems. So that's another thing that, isn't even on our website. When we introduce AMD systems, that also helps the budget side, which is, one of the steps. But unfortunately, Intel's the only one that's pumping out, components at a good rate.
Or at least ones that you can get. Because from what I hear, like large companies like Lenovo and HP are able to get their hands on pretty much all the AMD processors that they want. But I assume since you're not technically an OEM, you're a system integrator, you probably don't have the same supply chains as an OEM would have. So is that just kind of like the big thing right now is that most of these system integrators like iWiPower, you guys, NZXT really can't supply a whole lot of AMD just because it's not out there? Like when we
we have the top suppliers in the United States. We have the same supplier as Best Buy, so we can definitely get them. It's just we can't get enough of them to where I'm happy to where if people ordered 10, 20 a week, like, it's just not worth it if you can only pump out 2 or 3 a month. It's something, but it's not where I want it to be. When it gets better, I could definitely.
So when we're talking about AMD, are we talking about like the CPUs, the GPUs, or just everything in general?
Definitely CPUs and GPUs. GPUs we can get, but like I said, some people that are AMD enthusiasts want to pair an AMD processor and a GPU because of that 15% boost that you can get with the software.
Oh, okay. That's in some scenarios, yeah, you can get a 15% boost, but yeah, I see what you're talking about. So kind of on that same topic, the 6600 XT released earlier this week. I don't know if you kind of kept up on it, but it was one of like the weirdest releases that we've had in recent time because at pretty much every outlet that is selling the 6600 XT, they're pretty much all available. Like even today, I could walk into my local Micro Center and grab one off the shelves. It says that they've got more than 30 in stock right now, and they're actually selling for MSRP. So as someone who's still in like the supply chain sector of the PC space, do you kind of see those 6600 XTs making its way to the system integrator space, or is it just kind of a thing that AMD is really like pushing towards like the DIY community and really giving us the best pricing and the best availability compared to, again, companies like you?
I definitely think it goes both ways. I know AMD right now is trying to just maintain its supply chain, and right now they're doing really good compared to Nvidia when it comes to profitability, but also being able to pump out their GPUs. I've definitely seen them with my supplier. I definitely think it's probably going to go both ways. I see them and I want to integrate them into our business as well, but it's mostly the CPUs that are suffering. The GPUs are out there. Like you said, you could walk in your Micro Center and you can get them. Unfortunately, Arizona does not have a Micro Center, but
well, even then, it's limited to one a person. So I mean, I don't think you could just go in and just grab a shopping cart and clean out the shelves.
You'll need a lot of wigs and fake mustaches.
yeah, that's true. So kind of still talking about this whole AMD graphics card situation. So you have to deal with customers a lot in your line of work. I mean, you've got a channel. I mean, you got a Discord server, right? That you pretty much deal with your customers one-on-one. Is there? I mean, when people are buying a gaming PC, you're dealing with all like kind of groups of knowledge about it. Like you see the people who are super knowledgeable about stuff, and you got people who are like, I just want a gaming PC. Do you see people having kind of more of that still Nvidia preference when it comes to gaming PCs, or is it still kind of like 50-50 where it's like whatever can give you the most performance per dollar, like I'll take it? Or is there still kind of like, because there has been that Nvidia preference for a really long time?
Yeah. So the way I see it, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just disconnect my charging cord. Yeah, I definitely say it's 70-30. I even prefer Nvidia. I love AMD. Believe me, I have an AMD system right in front of me, but Nvidia card. But I definitely see it going both ways. I definitely respect AMD. There's customers, that contact us all the time that want to know the difference, and it's like, okay, well, when you get into monitors and you get into FreeSync and all the different software and everything that Nvidia versus AMD offers, like it just depends what you're looking for. But since the 3060 got released, you're talking, you can get a fantastic card for under $400, and you can with AMD as well. But it just depends what kind of system you're looking for. But I definitely push people towards Nvidia. However, for CPUs, I definitely like AMD. I'm an Intel guy. I like Intel as well, but I've used AMD CPUs, for examples, with pre-built systems that we used to build, and they're just fantastic.
Got it. So when it comes to just the 6600 XT in general, would you ever see your company, if you could get your hands on the 6600 XT for like the same, like in the same amount of quantities as you can get a 3060, and it was being priced at the same price as a 3060, but again, it's going to perform better. Would you move towards the 6600 XT as like kind of a staple in some of your systems, or would you still stick with the 3060?
So actually, that's really interesting you brought that up, and I'm glad you did. We actually have two builds on paper. We're gonna have the AMD version of our Celsa model, and it's gonna offer like it's basically a DIY project. It's gonna offer multiple AMD processors, multiple graphics cards, multiple storage options, and basically you could build any AMD system you want.
Got it.
And that's what we're gonna offer, because we don't want to overflood too many systems, but when the market gets better for the processors, yeah, we're definitely going to integrate more AMD systems.
So, I mean, even though that you don't have a whole lot of AMD processors on the like available to you at least, is the Intel stuff like still pretty decent, like in terms of pricing and in terms of availability, or is Intel just kind of milking it since they know that system integrators and stuff like that, like, they can't get their hands on anything else, so they're gonna give you last gen stuff for like current gen pricing? Is that the kind of stuff that you're seeing, or not really?
I'm seeing, Intel can do it no problem. However, they have very, very strict restrictions. So if you buy an Intel processor, you're forced to bundle a motherboard with it, which isn't bad.
Okay.
But that's kind of what
Do you get
they're
to
doing
choose the motherboard at least?
Oh, yeah. They don't care what you bundle it with. Intel just doesn't want people to buy processors, kind of like how Nvidia doesn't want people to buy graphics cards and flip them. So as long as you're using it to build a system and they can see that on paper, they're really good, and they're very cheap right now. Intel actually, when it comes to i5s, i7s, and i9s, these are like record prices I've seen, quite some time.
So when it comes to the bundles and stuff like that that you were kind of talking about, you said that the graphics card availability is getting way, way better. So are they still making you bundle stuff with the graphics cards? I know we talked about this like a couple months back, but are they still doing that like kind of tiering system where like depending on the kind of graphics card that you have to buy, the more stuff you have to bundle, or is those things kind of like eased down a little bit?
It depends what supplier you go to, but ever since we like sat down with like Intel and EVGA, they're definitely way more lenient when it comes to bundling. They say you don't have to. However, it's kind of like, it's like eye candy. They say, hey, you don't have to bundle this power supply, but hey, we can give you a 700 watt for like $45. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to bundle. They give you really sweet deals that
so is
make
it like,
you want to bundle.
Like EVGA power supplies for like, or is it like just some other like random brand out there?
No, EVGA. I only use most of the time EVGA and Thermaltake. However, we're switching strictly just to EVGA because ever since we started working with them, they're like, hey guys, like we're looking at your website and we can push you like, 80 plus golds and 80 plus, whatever you want rating, just the same price as you were paying for Thermaltake. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Got it.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, they're a good company. I like their products and stuff like that, so that's great for you guys at least because their power supplies are a lot better than some of the ones out there.
And EVGA, just to add one last thing,
yeah.
EVGA is the only company that actually sat down and didn't want to raise prices and wanted to help companies like us and other system integrators out there. They're very focused on helping companies like us compared to the big tech giants. So for companies like Best Buy, they made a deal with Best Buy, and they're like, hey, you can have all the founders cards strictly for you, but any EVGA cards have to go to system integrators. So they're really helpful to the gaming community and also the system integrators like us.
Got it. Well, so when you were talking about like, I mean, I still see a good amount of EVGA cards still go online, like for sale. For again, when I say us, I mean like us in like the DIY space.
Yeah.
So, do you think that EVGA themselves are kind of being, I just dropped something. But do you think that they are being forced like by their own, are they're doing it by themselves, like to set these lower prices and stuff like that, and to just kind of be kind of the good guy in most of the stuff? Or do you think that, like, does it seem like Nvidia is just kind of like, all right, you guys are kind of our big guys. We need you to like, be kind of the face of the company in this terrible time right now where like all of our graphics cards are not really even going close for MSRP and like nobody can really get a hand on them. Do you think Nvidia's kind of pushing them towards that? Because there's been like a lot of talk about, EVGA's in debt with Nvidia, so they kind of have to, or pretty much they're owned like somewhat by Nvidia at some point.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just by their, like, just them being the nice guys, or do you think it's just like got a little bit of a different motivation behind it?
I could definitely tell you, behind closed doors when we sat down with EVGA, they definitely said, Nvidia is very strict when it
Oh
comes
yeah.
to the policies of, putting these cards out. However, EVGA told us that, they wanted to take a stand. Like they sat down in a board meeting and they were saying, okay, either we force people to bundle things and we raise prices, or we be kind of the good guys. And the distributor, which is one of the largest ones in the United States, I won't name off their name, but they basically said we're not going to stand for bundling, and we need to help people now. We can't be like other companies, and we can't raise prices and force them to bundle. You're going to hurt these people and destroy businesses.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
So I
that's
definitely. Yeah, they're definitely strict, but I definitely say EVGA was definitely being the good guy, which is really nice.
yeah, that's great to hear. Um, so kind of still speak on those supply lines. So when it kind of comes to nowadays, like you said, that you don't really have a whole lot of problems getting things. Um, has the part shortage when it was like at its kind of peak, so probably about like a month or two ago, because of the fact that people couldn't buy GPUs and stuff like that, did you see somewhat of an uptick in traffic towards your company and in purchases of pre-builts? Or I mean, even now, right? Like you're probably seeing somewhat of an uptick just because people can't like build their own systems. Is that like a general trend for you guys as well, or not really?
Yeah, the past, 2-3 months, we definitely seen a lot of people come towards us, and definitely wanted to, build the build that they wanted. And it just sucks because, in this period, the past month, we've been just trying to play with adding as much customization so people can find what they're looking for. But unfortunately, a large amount of traffic are people trying to look for budget builds. And unfortunately, as I said, the 16 series is kind of dying out. So unfortunately, that kind of market is slowly fading. It's still possible, but yes, I'd say a lot of people are definitely coming to companies like us to, get their build rather than, go walk in somewhere else and overpay or get something that's not worth, the price of performance.
Got it. So when people are talking about like coming in asking for a budget build, what kind of price ranges are they talking about? Like, is it a realistic price range, like $600 to $800, or is it like, yeah, I want a $300 pre-built?
They say it's like 700 or 800, and before the 1650s and 1650 Supers kind of died out, it was definitely possible. But EVGA told us, like, guys, like, I really don't want to hurt your business, but like, you can't sell a lot of 16 series because we're gonna run really dry because of the RAM issue I told you about. So it's like they're saying, push people towards 3060s. And if somebody walked in right now saying, hey, I want an $800 PC, I would literally tell them I will give you a 3060 build for $900 if you absolutely want it, because it's like
But you're gonna give them like an i3 with it, because it's like it probably doesn't make a lot over.
i5. No. Yeah, I'll do
Okay,
an i5.
got it.
I'll do a normal Celsa with a 3060 right now, even for 1,000.
So are margins
1,200.
really still like that good to where you can do that as a company? Like, have margins kind of taken a hit like because of this thing, or have you just kind of like? It's like when the pandemic started, I'm sure you guys did take a hit to margins. Like, am I wrong when I say that, or not really?
No, actually, we were fine. It's just when before we had EVGA, it was really tough to get what we needed to get people the affordable build they want, but also not to hurt us completely as well. But it's like even now we can go pretty low.
But I mean, it's like how what I'm getting at right now is you said that a 3060 is costing you $400, right? Like close to that for wholesale pricing. So
hmm
how would someone be able to come in and ask for a $900 system with a 3060 in it, and the 3060 is costing like pretty much half of that cost there, and like you got labor and everything like that? Like, is everything else like really that cheap, or is it just kind of like you're taking a little bit of a hit on margins when someone comes and asks for that stuff?
The GPUs are the most expensive component, but when you're a systems integrator and you can actually like, it's really shocking. It's like an Intel processor that costs you $200 on Newegg costs us like 120. It's like
Yeah.
you can save money in other areas to where you can make it affordable. Like, because our company was founded to help people. Like, I have a big heart. I'd rather somebody get a computer and we make $150 than somebody sit there and, not get a computer. So we're always willing to work with people, and we've done that before. There's people that say, please, like, can you guys help us out? And, I say, hey, no problem, but, it's under special circumstances. But yeah, we can definitely offer things, if people really, really can't find anything out there.
Got it. Do you think that I mean, this is gonna be kind of a hard question. Do you think that might change here if you start, kind of getting the business kind of growing a little bit more? Because if it comes down to it, and people are like gonna play on the, your heartstrings, like that might be something that I feel like as you grow, that policy itself, like as a small business, that's a great policy to have, but as a company grows, like I don't know if that's like a very sound business decision.
So that's something for if somebody wants like a custom build that's not on our website. If they're really trying to build something that can fit their budget, but we're pretty strict on, hey, you're welcome to search anywhere on the internet. Nobody will beat the prices. People may get close, but at the end of the day, we can really like get, below any other competitor out there.
So you're not just like giving out like a system like because they're asking for, like you're not just giving them that $900 3060 machine just because they're asking for it. It's because you can supply it and it meets your guys' like it's like you guys are still making some money off of it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
We're not in the business for, charity, but at the same time, we understand, a lot of people were affected by the pandemic, and it's kind of hard, if you go on OfferUp, eBay, Best Buy, Amazon, like it's really rough to build your own system right now. So there are people out there that reach out to us and say, hey, like I have a $700 budget, what can you build? We give them options and say, hey, this is what we can do, and that's all we can do.
Got it. I mean, that's a great mentality to have, because I know a lot of companies are just kind of like, yeah, this CPU upgrade is going to be like $300 for you. So
no, I don't really like doing that.
Yeah.
We definitely, changed quite a bit. Starting Monday, prices are going to drop in the hundreds on all our builds, because we need to push people towards 3060s, because if these 1660s and supers like go out, the 3060 is the best option for like, not that much of a difference in price.
So, I mean, I don't know. You might not. You can just say I can't comment on this if you can't. But I mean, since you are kind of in talks with the EVGA, I don't know if you. You probably can't talk about anything if there is any kind of substance behind it. But we've already kind of seen the 3050 Ti kind of come out for laptops. Is there any word of just like really low in ampere coming out for desktop?
No. It's not profitable for Nvidia. They make quite a bit of money. They make quite a bit of money on the 3060, and if they go any lower than that, it's going to be the kind of same situation that was the 16. Like, because to be honest, would you pay let's just meet in the middle here, $280, let's just say, or $275 for a 1650 Super that has ray tracing, because that's what the 3050 Ti basically is. It's pretty close.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. I mean, the hard thing is, I think, is that when it comes down to it, like Nvidia I think, man, this is a weird issue.
Solution was for a budget card. They told us they're just gonna get a beefed up 1660 Ti, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'll do that for a budget build. They're like, no, it's like a $10 difference from the 3060. I'm like, okay, that's not a solution, but
yeah, no, it's not. So what you mean by a beefed up solution to the 1660 is that it's still based on the Turing architecture, but it's like just like pretty much just like gonna be like a 2070 without ray tracing is what I'm kind of hearing.
It's basically a 1660 Ti that, according to the math that we were told, was like a 5% difference from a 3060. So it's basically just a beefed up. I don't know. I tell EVGA all the time, our contact there, like, please let us know if you have budget cards, because we're a company that loves budget builds, because it helps people, and it's, if you take that away, we're losing half of our PCs on our website, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be tough for many other companies like your company especially. So I guess if there's this kind of like weird ultimatum that kind of comes in place, would you end up buying an AMD would you end up buying AMD GPUs in mass quantities if they actually do fulfill that price range? Even though that you kind of do have like a little bit of nudging in with like EVGA and those guys?
Believe me, right now, if I could, get assurances that we can get the CPUs and GPUs we need for AMD builds, I'd buy a 12-pack of Monster and stay up 4 days straight getting them all on the website with my team. Like, I'm ready and I'm ready to do it. It's just the CPUs are not there.
So if they drop the 6500 XT in a week, you'd be buying as much stock as you could.
I'd probably go take over the warehouse.
Got it. just because it's that important for you guys. Got it.
Well, it's nice. I love budget builds, and if you take that away, like that's a big chunk. That's like a quarter of your business right there. But we also supply other companies with components as well. So it's like even if the GPU market, hurts in one, or I'm sorry, if the pre-build market hurts in one area, like we still supply, some YouTubers and some other local companies in our area.
Got it. I mean, that's a great, I don't know, I guess philosophy to have, I guess, when it comes down to it. But yeah, so next question. As of right now, I probably know your answer to this, but what are the hardest GPUs to get right now? And what kind of, do you guys have to pay any sort of premium pricing on those GPUs in order to even get them?
Okay, so the first part, what is the hardest GPUs to get? Okay. 3070s and 3080s for sure.
3070s and 3080s, okay.
Yep.
Got it. And do you have to pay any sort of premium pricing for that?
Oh no, they're great. It's just they don't get many of them at all. They get like maybe let's just throw on paper. We just got 3 the other day, and that's all they had, and that was after waiting.
33080s or 33070s?
33080s.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a little bit for the 3070s and 80s. They are there, but you just have to, tell them pretty please and hunt them down for me. 3090s are no problem at all.
Got it. And do you see any more like 3070 Ti's and 3080 Ti's, or is that still kind of the same classification?
Plenty of those.
But you don't want to grab them. Like I feel like a 3070 Ti would honestly be like, if you can't get your hands on a 3080, even though for us it's a terrible decision to make because it's only $100 difference when it comes to like MSRP.
Yeah.
Like it's not really a thing though, but you still really don't even consider the 3070 Ti like in any of your builds.
So next week we are adding the 3070 Ti to the website, and maybe even the 3080 Ti. I know it cringes me to say it's like you get more value from a 3070 than a 3070 and a 3080 have more value than the Ti's just because of the heating problems I've heard. Like it's not a heat problem, but they get really hot.
So I'm assuming what you're meaning is by the upgrade. So the 3070, the only upgrade that you're pretty much getting from a 3070 Ti is like a tiny bit of a better actual GPU, and then you're upgrading to the GDDR6X, which is very power hungry. So is that what you mean by it?
Yeah, but they also said the thermal solutions, they get a little hot. It's okay. It doesn't affect the card, doesn't affect performance, but it definitely can make a little bit of a difference. But it is power hungry too.
Got it. So when it comes to companies like EVGA, are they still giving you guys like, because when it comes to those higher end cards, are you guys kind of pushed towards those higher end cooling solutions? So like they're For the Win 3s, right? Isn't that like the one with like the little shiny kind of thing on the front, like the big triple fan kind of card? You know what I'm talking about?
So, yes, that's usually what we get. I get a lot of 2 fans, but mostly
for the 3060s, right?
For the 3060s, definitely the 2 fans.
Yeah.
We could get the 3 fans. It's just, the 2 fans are nice.
Got it.
For 36, what was I going to say? I was going to say that the most popular models of cards, whether it's a 3060 through a 3090, for the higher end cards, I'd probably say they're the For the Win 3s, and then the XC3 Ultras and the black models are really popular.
So, but even so, I guess I still really even ask my question. So, if you're
I'm so
buying,
sorry.
it's fine. So, if you buy something like a 3080 Ti, is there any sort of push for them for you to buy the higher end models that they sell, or do they really not care whatever models you want to purchase? Because there's
They don't
definitely
really
different
care.
They don't really care. Okay,
No, they try to push you. They show you what kind of models they have, but most of the models that they carry are just the normal two-fan solutions.
got it. And I'm sure that's pretty much fine for most 3060s and 3060 Ti builds, at least
Oh
for your
no,
guys'
it's
standards. Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
All right. So, next question is: you're competing with companies like light gaming PCs and VR LA tech. So, how do you plan on setting yourself apart from them and kind of carving your own little spot in the market?
I definitely say, the one thing we do every week is what we focus on is innovation. A lot of these companies, like to mix used parts or like to mix, just I don't know. They'll have a really good GPU, but then, a low CPU, or there's always something that they have to do to cut costs. Whereas us, we like to make it as even across the board as possible. And, this company was built with other people in mind. We're not selfish. So we definitely like to innovate and try to make things the best price to performance possible for, anybody, whether you're a new gamer or experienced gamer. We're always trying to come up with more builds and more ideas to save people money.
Got it. So, I mean, but the problem. It's not necessarily a problem, but like the kind of conflict with that is that light gaming PCs and VR LA tech are still going for that same segment of price to performance, and they do a fairly well job at it. But the one thing is that I always see is that they're usually not as good as you guys in some of the builds. But again, a lot of times they kind of have their own niche in the market. Like they do sell those lower end systems.
I know the owner at Light Technology.
Okay.
He's an awesome guy. I
Yeah,
definitely
Caleb?
have.
Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
I talked to him for a little bit too.
We've definitely shared numbers. Like, hey,
Yeah.
like during the shortage, like, hey, do you need any 3060s? I got some. Yeah. Do you have
Got
any
it.
1650s? I need some. But no. One thing that will set us apart is we're trying to get competitive and professional teams under our company, and not only that, we're trying to get game development under our company as well. So we're dabbling in other markets, but we're definitely going to be starting a professional team that's going to be participating in tournaments, not only with our builds but also dabbling in that kind of market too.
So like a sponsorship, like you'd like it's like an actual company facilitated team, or is it just like a group of people that you were gonna, because I know you had like a sponsored esports team that you had a little while back, or
Yeah.
so you're
This
gonna
is our own team from scratch. Our builds, our uniforms, our jerseys, everything. That's going to be participating in games and also hosting live streams and community events to build up a large community.
So I don't, you probably do remember because you're older than me, but that really reminds me of back in the day when iBuyPower had a esport team that played at all those CS:GO majors. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
They had the best. They had the best CS:GO stickers in the game. So hopefully you can make some good ones if you guys can make it to that kind of level of fame. But yeah, that's actually kind of interesting. So you said you also want to start a game studio too?
Yeah. A lot of our guys that work for us actually were, ex-game developers or worked with, in IT solutions. So we're definitely trying to even make it to where if people purchase a computer from our company, our game that we're making will be offered for free. So we're trying to also, have some incentives for people ordering in the future that'll make them be like, hey, I could save even more money and, I don't have to purchase this stuff. It's all included.
Got it. So how are you gonna manage it? Like that's pretty much like three companies in one. I mean, unless because you got to manage the gaming PC, the esports team, and then I guess the game development thing. Because you got a degree in game development as well, don't you?
Yes.
Got it.
So different people handle different divisions. We have basically, me, I have a few people under me, somebody else has a few people under them. We all sit at the same table, but we try to focus on different things that can make us different and help us in the long run.
Got it. So, I still don't know the particular number. How many people do you have working under you at this point? Or how many employees do you have?
I'd say it's gone up to So it's 3 actual employees, and then we hired some contractors to help us basically with pushing inventory, managing inventory, and building PCs. So I'd say it's gone up to 7 now.
Got it. So when it comes to kind of scaling up, but it's kind of something this is actually a great segue into the next question. So scaling up in general is one of the hardest, if not the hardest things for a small company to do. Competition gets a lot stiffer. You're playing against the big dogs. You're going against NZXT, iBuyPower, CyberPower. Like you're competing with like those huge companies out there. You've got a lot more people to manage. Logistics are getting way more complicated. So do you believe like you and the management of your company are pretty much set for being able to upscale? And if so, what kind of actions are you guys taking right now to help ensure that your company is ready to, kind of scale up and be that bigger company?
Yeah, so when you look at things through a timeline, the amount of growth and the amount of connections and leading suppliers that we've been introduced to is astonishing. Like the growth and the opportunities that we were able to, accept and pursue. We definitely have been looking at a lot of, places where we can have storage facilities and also people that can work and also test builds. We're definitely ready for whatever the future throws at us. Like you said, it's a big leap when you go from managing that many more computers and that many more products. That's something have been considering for quite some time. What happens if you get flooded with hundreds of orders? And we're definitely ready to do whatever it takes to make that jump. And we're ready for it. We've been preparing for it for quite some time. We've been doing our own thing and managing all the orders that have been coming in, but we're ready to take on even more people that are ready to work for us and, get some buildings and get storefronts and really try to crank out anything that comes at us. We definitely have a plan.
Got it.
In motion.
You want to talk a little bit about that plan? Because I know you are kind of making a big move. It's actually a considerable move to a different part of the United States. You kind of want to talk about those plans a little bit?
Yeah, so we actually decided to stay in Arizona.
Oh, you did? Okay, never mind. Then.
Yes, the one thing that it's the one thing that made us decide about that is they're opening 2 processing plants here that'll be pumping out processors.
Yeah, so Intel and TSMC, I think, are the 2 big companies. Yep.
Also, there's just a lot of opportunity here. A lot of our people, also grew up here, but like I said, in the past few months, we've met so many people and all these opportunities for a very long time. So, we recently got introduced to quite a few storefronts that build pre-built solutions for people that are just looking for, any kind of refurbished computer. And we recently approached them and said, hey, we can supply you. And in return, you pump out our builds. And, you're talking, really large storefronts that can pump out builds and also work with us, and we supply them. And it's just a lot of opportunities that presented themselves here, and we were like, okay, instead of going to Buffalo, New York and doing all that, we can just open multiple storefronts here, supply every computer repair or system solution in our state, and just keep moving from state to state and hopping with storefronts and everything.
Got it. So the definite move for you guys, it sounds like, is just getting into the retail space, because as of right now, you're still mostly online, right?
Mostly online because, COVID is still a thing, and we don't want to get too comfortable, especially, I'm not a CDC expert, but, I grew up with a liver transplant, so I'm very immunocompromised. So it's like before I make a move and put, people that work for me and, want to pursue this dream at risk, we definitely want to make sure we're in the green before we, spread out and open these storefronts. Because the worst thing is growing and taking these big steps, and the market shortage could crash or something else could go wrong, because it can happen. And, now we're out all that effort and responsibility of all those stores and everything we plan to do. So
got it. So I'm assuming you see a lot of promise later on in the retail space when it comes to just buying and selling like systems. I mean, I personally love going in store better to buy my stuff than going online and buying it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and we want to make it so people can come in and even play, for
got it.
free. Like, hey,
Yeah,
try out the builds, kind of like a GameStop and an interactive one. Hey, come see
got it.
this build, come try it.
And you're gonna sell more than PCs, I assume.
Yeah, no, accessories, Xbox, PlayStation accessories. It's going to be definitely a gaming store, but at the same time, it's going to be kind of like an entertainment hangout. People can come in and play, LAN parties, or we're going to have game rooms where people could come in and rent out the whole space and definitely game out and try our products.
Got it. So, um, you have any sort of timeline for that kind of development? I'm sure it's not going to be like in the next 1-2 years, but it sounds like it's going to be something pretty great. I'm looking forward to it.
Our goal is on paper, next February or March. We want to see the market get to where it's completely healthy,
Okay.
and then we can basically open up all the builds we want on the website. We're definitely going to be moving over and having a complete website rebuilt. It's just right now it just doesn't make sense with how the market is kind of crazy up and down. We don't want to make a big move if it'll put us 2 steps back. But definitely between now and the first half of next year, we want to change a lot with our website, add plenty of more products, because we actually are connected to esports now, and they offered us Razer accessories. They offered us a ton of accessories that we could sell on the website for customers.
Got it.
But that's also a big move now. That you're talking more inventory, you're talking more people needed. So we're definitely trying to go slow and steady, because you don't want to jump the gun and hurt yourself in the end.
Yeah, that's for sure. So when it comes down to it, you definitely do think, I kind of caught this at the end. So you definitely think that for you guys at least, that the market's going to be good by February of next year.
Yeah, I definitely want to set a goal, a soft goal, and try to meet that.
So what kind of goal is that? Is it just like availability, or is it a pricing kind of target? Because it sounds like availability is fine right now.
Yeah, I definitely want to hit pricing, but I definitely want to get more options on there to where it covers everything somebody could need with what they're looking for.
Got it. So let's go to the next one. So what are some of the biggest challenges you guys face right now in terms of just trying to grow your company? And what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys think that you might face here in the future?
I definitely say the biggest challenge, if I could be completely honest with you, is some months it's extremely busy, and then some months it's quiet because, something goes wrong in the market. So right now our biggest problem is, we were just fixing the Scout that you just reviewed, which I love the review, by the way. We just fixed the case. We just fixed the power supply. We just added more storage options, and guess what? They say, oh, the 16 series is kind of dying out. It's like, you put so much effort to try to get these budget builds out, and something goes wrong, or there's not a lot of availability.
Yeah, that really sucks. So is that just kind of something that you guys kind of like push through, or is that something that you're gonna?
Oh, we could push through it, no problem. But like I was saying with the 3060 options earlier, but there are 16 series out there. They're just saying it's really low right now. I'm sure they're not going to go out, for at least another year or like 8 months or so. But it's like, it's really low right now.
So the main reason why you're not wanting to go with the 16 series anymore is because, like you said, they are still out there. It's just because you don't want to get into a position where if you start taking in orders and there are literally no 16 series left on, you have to wait months, or they're not being made anymore by the time.
Like some people just ordered last week, and within 3 days their PC was already ordered. It's already being worked on. So we're definitely hitting our goal for time, and I don't want to be stuck in another position where people have to wait months for just an $800 build. It makes you feel bad, you feel responsible, and it's a lot of stress on your shoulders too. I don't want to make promises I can't keep. So we'll definitely keep some 16 series options on there, but we have to have like a low inventory of them, so that way, nobody can get stuck waiting forever.
Got it. All right. Well, that about ends all the questions that I have, and I know we have some from these other people that are in here in chat.
Yeah.
All right, so one from Oceanic is one of the mods on our server, and he says, how do you believe COVID-19 will affect your business going forward?
I'd say, we have to be really careful. Even right now, before we send out PCs, we clean them thoroughly. We wear gloves, we wear masks, after we're done building them, because, safety is key. I definitely think it would affect, if the market gets hit again, we just have to learn and adapt. Luckily, we have the connections to keep offering systems for a pretty good timeline of 2 to 3 weeks. But if COVID does hit or something may go wrong in the market, definitely availability of parts affects everybody. That's probably the only thing that would affect us. But other than that, we're trying to be safe, be healthy, and be very careful on how we go about our business.
Got it. Okay, let's do this one. So if you had to build a PC today, right, and you had to go with the retail price and that all we would have to do, what kind of PC would you pick out right now?
What's my budget?
Let's say it's whatever. Let's say your PC broke today, right? The gaming PC that you have right now broke, and you didn't have access to the supply chains that you could that you normally have as a CEO of a company. What would be your route of going out to getting a PC?
You mean like if I had to build it myself with eBay prices, or if I went out
not
to, like,
necessarily
Best Buy?
eBay prices, but wherever you can go, like wherever you could get something.
Okay.
Like what would be CPU, case, GPU, and then what kind of storage and stuff and RAM would you go for?
Okay, I would definitely go with a Lian Li case because Lian Li is affordable. I know it's kind of like under the around the $100 range, but the best cooling possible, very stylish, one of the best companies out there for cases.
Do you have a specific case in mind with the Lian Li, like the O11 Dynamic?
Probably the Dynamic.
Okay. The mini, you like the mini one or the larger one better?
I like them both, believe it or not. They're
Got
not
it.
bad. It just depends what kind of system, because sometimes if you're building a system and you have a fat card and, a beefy components, it looks good, but, you definitely don't want a small case and everything's touching the absolute end of the front panel there. But I would definitely do a Lian Li. I'd probably go with a one of the new Ryzen processors. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but probably like a 3900X and probably a 3060 Ti. To be honest with you, you can make a good build, a fantastic build for under $1,000.
Got it. Cool. And then when it comes down to the GPU, what would you kind of go for there? I mean, would you pretty much just go for a 6600 XT if you had to?
Listen, my employees almost put a bag over my head and killed me because I'm so indecisive. I really want an AMD. Yeah, I really want an AMD GPU, but at the same time, it's like I really want a Nvidia. And here's the thing, I don't actually know if I would go with anything over a 3060 or 3060 Ti because Nvidia's already working on the 4000 series, and those are going to use dual chips.
Yeah,
so,
well, those are like 2 years away too, so it's like still, that's a long time to wait.
Yeah, but I definitely would say a 3060 Ti and a 3070 would be your best bet because it's using all of the new features and all the new components compared to the 20 series, and it's the best bang for your buck.
So I'm gonna play AMD advocate here. I don't know if you've looked at the benchmarks, but as of right now, if you get a 6600 XT. For retail pricing, you can get one for around the $400 price point, and it performs better than a 3060 on average, like by about 15%.
What was the card called?
The 6600 XT. It launched.
I didn't even realize they released one. Yikes.
It actually launched yesterday, I believe. Oh no, it launched Wednesday. It launched Wednesday.
Let me check and see the benchmark.
And it actually performs pretty similarly to a 3060 Ti. Most of the time, the 3060 Ti will edge out, but in like 1080p and lower resolutions, the 6600 XT seems to be pretty close to a 3060 Ti.
Yeah, 4% difference from a 3060, and then the 3060 Ti, which is still nice for the price range, to be honest with you.
Well, it's still cheaper than a 3060, even if you get one for like good pricing from EVGA, because again, those are going for around, like the lower end 3060 models are going for around $510, when again you can get the 6600 XT for around $400, and it's still better.
I would love to see now. I would probably go with that, honestly, but I would love to see our suppliers' pricing on that because that's going to be the deciding
Yeah,
factor.
so that's why I was asking, like previously, was talking about the 6600 XT, because if it was the same exact pricing, or even if it was lower pricing, right? If it was lower pricing than the 3060, which on most of the times, if you do get it from a supplier, it is going to be lower priced, because as of right now, from retail pricing, it seems like it's super cheap for AMD and these AIBs to make, so they're pretty much able to offer it at the quote unquote MSRP that AMD put them out for. So even then, you would still kind of have a debate between the 3060 and the 6600 XT.
Honestly, on paper, if a 3060 was, I have an AMD processor, so believe it or not, if you pair the two together, you get that boost from that software that I can't remember the name of. But
it's smart access memory.
Together.
It's like I have it on my system. It's like it's just a small. It's like average 15%, but again, it depends on what games you're averaging in that average.
But
it's
still,
all
on
marketing.
Pen and paper, it's a lot better than paying another $150, $200 for the same kind of numbers to get a better card.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to, I think a lot of people were kind of pushing the 3060 as like a card for people who want to be content creators and not necessarily gamers. Because again, Nvidia does have that whole software suite. Like they have which I'm personally not a fan of. What was it called? Nvidia Broadcast. Isn't that like their software? It always kind of messes with my audio setup. So I usually never use it because I've got a laptop that's got a 3070 in it. But the whole kind of thing with it is like the 3060 is kind of, it's the whole thing of why like people really like it is just because of the fact that it's got that 12 gigs of VRAM. The core itself is really not anything crazy, because I remember when it first came out, it has around the same performance as a 2060 Super in most titles. So I don't know. Yeah. And then,
no, it's a good one. I overclock mine, so it's like, I'm not sitting here with just a normal one, but it's like, I definitely went with Zotac for mine.
Got it. And you guys don't offer any Zotacs on your website, do you?
I really want the more distributors, or I should say, manufacturers that can offer us cards. We can do ASUS and EVGA currently.
See, I love ASUS stuff. If you get like those, like EVGA and ASUS, my top favorite companies to get.
Those are our two. We deal directly with ASUS and EVGA, but ASUS is a good person to go to if you want like an ROG 3080 or like a really nice cards. They're kind of, compared to EVGA, you're talking like $150, $200 difference just from a normal 3060. Like they're a little bit pricier.
Yeah, so
for the name.
I have an EVGA graphics card, but personally, my favorite things from them are their motherboards. Like I always think their motherboards always kind of hit like that price to performance ratio that's there, and like the build quality that you get from them. Like I always think that
personally
ASUS
like
pretty good with it.
ASRock. ASRock and ASUS are the same. They're the same company.
ASRock is a branch. It's a branch. So they don't technically have, they are close. I have not had a whole lot of faith in ASRock for a long time. Their power delivery on a lot of their parts is never, like, they haven't had a great history of it. I know on some of their motherboards, like I remember when what was it? I think it was the 10th gen launch, that on some of their lower end boards, like the VRMs just couldn't handle putting out more voltage to like i5s and stuff like that. Well, I mean, granted, it is a lower end board, but if you got boards from like MSI and Asus and stuff like that, they were putting out way better performance than them. So personally, I'm not a huge ASRock fan.
For our higher tier, when we had to swap out the Ryzen components for some of the Intel components, we actually just decided yesterday that we're going to be going with ASUS for the higher end boards for definitely for our mid tier to high tier builds. I think it was the if I can remember correctly, I think it was the Asus Prime B460M, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know that board. The Prime series is usually kind of like their budget, but like not like absolute piece of crap board. Because I mean, every company has their crap boards that they sell. I mean, that's just kind of how the market goes. But I always think that Asus usually has a pretty good scaling when it comes to price. Like their low end stuff is usually pretty good, and then once you kind of get to the Prime, that's like kind of okay, and then once you get higher than that, like the ROG stuff is usually pretty top quality.
Yeah, I love ROG, but I also love MSI too. So
So you don't. I also don't usually see a whole lot of MSI stuff in your builds, even though like you. I know you said that you like their laptops and stuff like that. In terms
no,
of.
no. So our alpha and beta PCs use MSI boards
Okay, got it. So
and
you.
ASUS. So okay, so it's kind of confusing. We actually with those alphas, we just sent out 3 of them. The 4th one actually is using an MSI B550, where it's kind of like we asked in a customer, "Hey, can you be our experiment?" And he's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna slap a B550 and see what the difference is from the ASUS X570Ps."
Okay.
So we're experimenting with different boards because I love MSI. I use MSI boards for my own builds.
Yeah, I think
Really
MSI and
good.
Asus usually have. They have 2 of my favorite BIOS setups. Gigabyte is probably my least favorite, even though I'm running a
I
Gigabyte board right now. But
used
yeah.
to use Gigabyte boards. I've had pretty rough experiences with Gigabyte in the
So
past.
my board is fine. I've got the B450 Aorus M, so it's like
Oh yeah,
it
no.
was like a
If you go
$90
pretty up
board.
there, you're fine.
Well,
Yeah,
it was like a $90 board when I got it, and I'm like, I don't really do too much with it. Like I had like the I don't know if you guys do it on your systems, but like the AMD on, if you have passed their their 3000 series, they have like in Ryzen Master, which is like their utility software for their CPUs.
yeah.
There's like that precision boost overdrive utility that they have in there, and I've never really had any problems with my VRMs or anything like that on it. It's just like the BIOS and like the updates and stuff like that always were kind of weird for me when it came to or Gigabyte on it.
Yeah, no, they still make great products. It's just about what is the most comfortable for builders to use, even with our company. What's the best board? And they always like ASUS and MSI
Got it.
mostly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think most of those companies like MSI is kind of one of those ones that I've always been kind of a staple in the gaming PC market, and then I think pretty much EVGA and Asus are also 2 great companies to go with when it comes to.
I love MSI. I have an MSI laptop. It's
Got it.
fantastic.
Yeah. So we got one question here. I guess it's just gonna be I could probably answer this, but I'm gonna give it off to you. Is it worth to upgrade the i5 10400F if I get the Scout? That's from Zoltak in chat.
He said, "Is it worth it if you upgrade the i5
Oh,
or
is it
upgrade
to
to the
get to
i5?"
the i5 10400F if he gets the Scout?
I would say yes in the long run. I love the 10400F. It's a very very good mid tier CPU, and you have to think long term. It's like, yeah, the i3 is great for budget builds, but you're paying the extra amount to secure yourself a year or 2 in the future, because let's be honest, the 11th gen, there's not much of a difference, with the 10th and 11th gen. Intel's been experimenting with everything for quite some time, and until we get to like the 12 or 13 series, like we're not going to see any major like serious boost that'll make it worth it. But yeah, I definitely agree. A 10400F upgrade is really nice. We switched to those towers now instead of those other coolers, so you're also going to get the best cooling for your i5 as well. So I would say so. Pretty worth it.
Got it, and that's a solid recommendation for me. Really depends on what his I think his price point is and what he wants to do with his PC. But yeah, honestly, I think the 10400F is one of my favorite CPUs to come out here in recent history. So another question from Alpha Kiwi in Discord. It says that the new Scout case that was announced, I can't talk, does that come with space for an optical drive? If so, are you guys flexible in using that case on a Celsa or a Beta? I've heard that the 30 series cards are having power consumption spikes lately. Oh, this is a second question. So how about you answer that first one? Is there room for an optical drive on that board or on that case?
Let me double check the measurements here.
Well, optical drives are just going to have a specific slot in the top. It's like it's a disc reader.
Oh, I know what he's talking about now.
Yeah.
I was like, optical drive. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen an optical drive in PCs probably for like about 4 or 5 years now. I don't even know. I know. So another good option if you're definitely, trying to do something with discs, they do have like those external
Yeah, like the
disc
USB
readers
ones.
and everything.
Yeah.
They're like $40-50, and that way, you're not sacrificing anything in the inside. I would go that route rather than, because a lot of cases don't support those really anymore. I mean, some do if you look for them, but definitely, when it comes to gaming PCs, they like to leave as much room as possible for things, like cooling solutions and, maybe more room for a new card, a beefier card, or more hard drives or SSDs. And, I definitely go down that route than leave room for optical drives in our PC. So I would definitely just suggest getting an external one, just, to be safe.
Yeah.
That way, you know, you can get what you want and still have a gaming PC.
There are very few scenarios where I feel like you would need an optical drive. I know I've got a couple people on my channel. It's like one guy in specific who always was on here, but the only time that I've ever seen someone use optical drives for like a modern scenario is for like, it was this weird thing. There are like security discs that you can buy for optical drives that hold like 500 gigabytes on them, and they're just pretty much just for security. For security reasons, instead of having like hard drives and SSDs, apparently those are also great ways to keep secure data on them. But yeah, I usually never see any use for optical drives, especially in this day and age when you got Steam and every other game launcher.
Is if you have a game collection, or if you have like older games that you just can't find on Steam or something, then even if you want to play DVDs, but I mean, there's streaming services. I guess it can go both ways. Like if you have some things you want to play or try that you can't find on a market somewhere like Steam or Epic Games, then yeah, go for it. But most companies just don't go down that route because it takes away space and it takes away, money that could be used for other components.
Got it. All right, so Alpha Kiwi's second question was, I've heard that the 30 series cards are having power consumption spikes lately. Will the power supplies you guys provide be able to handle those spikes?
I definitely would say so. We definitely like to, have things with a little bit extra room, especially since EVGA is offering us, power supplies instead of like the Thermaltake ones that we can use for some of our, high-end models. Now we can get the really nice 80+ ratings that we want and put them in our medium and high tier builds. And even we want to do bronze for, our lower ends. Yeah, I would say our power supplies can handle it. We always like to leave enough room for upgrades, and that's also why we have our Discord. If people have questions, there have been people that contact us saying, hey, I want to upgrade this, can it handle it? And we go over their system and tell them what it could handle. So yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem for any of the 30 series cards.
So kind of sticking on with that power requirement thing, I don't know how much YouTube you watch, but most of my free time, like if I have time, I'll sit down and watch some tech YouTube videos. But I don't know if it was pretty popular video this past week. Steve from Gamers Nexus, I don't know if you've seen that channel before, but he's so he's a pretty like hardcore tech enthusiast. Like he's extremely knowledgeable, and he's got a lot of very knowledgeable people who work with him. And I whoever's in chat, I'd recommend you guys go watch his power supply video. But recently, like a lot of the bundles that were coming in for like people to buy stuff on Newegg Shuffle for the graphics cards were like these really crappy gigabyte power supplies that they were selling. Like you had to bundle it with them. And they were testing them, and they've had, I think out of the 6 that they were testing, 3 of them blew up and like damaged. One of them killed one of their graphics cards as well.
Oh my God.
So I know you guys probably do some sort of testing when it comes to
48 hours.
Got it. So you probably run on a pretty hard load. Do you run, I'm assuming you run CPU and GPU stress tests at the same time to kind of get the max load.
You want to know what our builder does? He actually turns off the AC and gets the room really hot, and then he runs everything to see how it really is going to run under the absolute worst conditions.
Okay, and I'm sure you guys got like metrics that you guys look at to make sure it meets that requirement.
So it runs overnight, and then when we visit in the morning to package and basically distribute them, he shows us the numbers and we compare it to other models, and we always like to make sure, like, hey, is this power supply that we're using good, or do we need to change it in the future? But the numbers are always looking really good. And with the 3080 models and with our future 3090 model coming out next week, we definitely run them for 3 or 4 days at a time.
Got it. Yeah, so I mean, I doubt that you're probably gonna have any of those power supplies that literally blow up from like EVGA. I haven't really used a whole lot. Yeah, I hope not either. I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with Thermaltake stuff, but again, EVGA stuff is usually pretty solid. Let's see what the next one is. So I guess he's asked for your opinion. If I were buying a beta, what upgrades would you recommend with a theoretical budget of $1,350? And this is from Dab on Discord.
13 a beta, $1,350. I'm actually running through it right now. I definitely say we have a lot. We actually have to fix the beta this weekend because, we close after Thursday, so we use Friday, Saturday, Sunday to basically work on updates for the website. The beta next week is getting major price drops. If I were you, I definitely would go with a 3060 and either an i7 or an i5 if you absolutely want to. It'll be definitely around your budget right there. And we just introduced the 3060 Ti cards again on our website, so we can sell the beta at least, and until we can get the 3070 Ti, more options will be coming. But I definitely would go with the beta and just run through, because when you pick different options, it calculates prices. But I would wait until Monday at least, because we're having major price drops right now because we're trying to, ease the loss on some of the 16 series cards. But definitely go with an i5 or an i7 and just pick a 3060 and whatever gigs of RAM that you may want. I usually tell people 16 is enough, especially, for what you want to do, but it depends what you want to do.
And here's just another question that I have. So when you guys, here, let me pull up your site real quick. So a lot of times, so on all of your systems, you have like stream ready in quotes. What kind of certification process or like validation process do you go through to like have it stream ready?
So basically, we've tested some of these PCs. We put stream ready instead of whatever that was there before because it just didn't make much sense. But most of our customers are streamers and they want a game and they're heavy gamers. And just in case they want to, stream in the future, which, some people, when they have that kind of powerful builds, they want to try new things. Streaming's fun. You do it, you enjoy it. We definitely use XSplit Broadcaster, and we stream within the building that we basically build them in. And we test to see how it runs, how everything works, what the temperatures are, and just run diagnostics and a lot of numbers to make sure everything is going good. Because like I said, these PCs can change within a month, and not for the worse, but for the better. Technology gets cheaper and better as time goes on. So if there's ever anything out there that's better than what we have now, we just, upgrade it and definitely keep testing and testing just to run the numbers.
Got it. So when you're saying it's stream ready, is it like when you're playing games at the same time and having a bunch of stuff going on, or is it just like streaming the display that's currently up right now?
I mean, like, you can play your game and then hop on Twitch or whatever broadcasting software you want and, game and stream at the same time. Because I was the guinea pig for the company. My build is really close to a beta, and we definitely plugged in different cards and hooked up a lot of different scenarios. No Ethernet, just Wi-Fi, Ethernet, no Wi-Fi. We definitely played around before we introduced some of our higher models to test and see, can they really be advertised as stream ready? But
so again, the one that I'm pretty much focused on is the Scout, just because of the fact that it still has that 1650 Super in it. Because I don't know how well that's going to stream it. I didn't really test it.
Believe it or not, because it uses the same encoding software as the 1660s, it streams actually pretty well. It's not terrible, but at the same time, the Scouts.
Yeah,
offline.
It's similar, but a little bit worse. So it's a little bit cut down. Yeah. So the NVIC encoder is something that's hardware, like it's hardware bound on all Nvidia GPUs, I think, since the 9 series, if I'm correct. Might be a little bit before then. But yeah, the NVIC encoder is just kind of something that's on there. But yeah, it gets cut down based off of like how bad the die like itself is also cut down. So like 1650 is going to be the most cut down die of the Turing architecture. So the one suggestion that I always that I actually gave to Light Tech back in the day was that if you're gonna advertise something that's stream ready, a lot of people or a lot of customers in general usually will think that means that I can just load up OBS on whatever settings I want and play my games and hit that stream button and it's gonna look good and it's gonna be at the good, like the good streaming qualities, right? Like it's gonna it's gonna be fine. Which in reality, it's not. Like even sometimes, like with my laptop, like I can't. Like even though it's got a 3070 in it, which is technically closer to like a desktop 3060 or like a little bit cut down from that, it still is not great at streaming just because of the fact that it's it's just bound by certain things, and you can't just like open up the main thing. So kind of what I told Light Tech was that you should pretty much just like give people like the settings that you use for like OBS or Streamlabs and say like, okay, so at these specific settings are the kind of settings that you are going to be able to stream at on this PC, because I think a lot of people get kind of misled and just kind of I don't know, just like kind of get the wrong idea when it says something like stream ready on it, because that's a common thing that people always do.
I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But also, if you want to get into streaming, you have to understand
you got to spend some money.
Everything is based off. Yeah, you have to spend money, but everything is based off what your own settings are. You have to find what works for you, because you're talking microphones, you're talking all this, software and this hardware that's plugged into your computer, and you yourself. If you're being a streamer, I'd hope you would do the research and understand you have to find what works for you. Just because you have a $3,000 PC doesn't mean you can, plug in a VR headset and run things in like 8K, for example. It's like, you gotta you gotta play with things. That's the part of streaming.
And that's 100% true.
But I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So
I definitely think, we'll have some. Not to interrupt you, I definitely think we should add like, a small chart, just saying, hey, it would be good if you did this, this, and this with the settings, or, probably give people a little bit more info, so if they do the research, they can see what it looks like on YouTube and be like, oh, that looks great,
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that was just kind of like one of those things that I was always kind of like, I don't usually like the whole fact that when, like, especially if you have like a really low-end system, like streaming ready is just kind of like one of those weird things that I'm not a huge fan of people like throwing on the site.
Yeah. Well, for example, the Scout's going to get a complete makeover, because the 1650 Supers are, kind of gone at this point.
Yeah, and everything's pretty fluid with your site. Like I usually don't think that most of the PCs are there to stay permanently. You're probably going to be flipping them around every single.
We're still adding storage options and everything to every PC, but it takes 2 hours just to plug in all the combinations, let alone doing the math and everything.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Zolik in chat says, should I wait a little bit to get the Scout? I think you said because you're going to reduce prices on, or was it not the Scout?
The Scout, I'm pretty sure we're gonna go with the original plan of doing the new case, doing a new power supply, but at the moment we have absolutely no idea what GPU is going to replace the 1650 Super. We might just do a 1660, but at the same time you're talking an $80 difference to a 3060, at least for us when it comes to I don't know. We're definitely going to add some options, but I definitely would say wait until next week for anybody that's interested in PCs, because prices are going to get dropped. They're going to get fixed. We have, a whole void to fill now that the 16 series, we had to discontinue the Recon because, of course, the 1650s are not there anymore. So everybody that ordered a Recon had to get a 1650 Super upgrade, which is nice, but at the same time, business-wise, it's not smart long-term.
Got it, yeah. So Damian Contrast asks, how much is the price drop on certain PCs?
I'd say it's going to be $100 to $300, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at for example, the Celsa, we just experimented with the price today. $1,200, gets you a 3060 in your build. We're trying to get that even lower now, but we're definitely trying to get things to a point where it's affordable in the mid to high tier range of PCs. Until we can find a good budget solution, our site is probably just going to have to go with the route that the cheapest PC will be like $850 or $900, which isn't bad. But like I said, budget PCs, even Linus himself said they're kind of dying out.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the presence of these new consoles too. It's like,
exactly.
There's not a whole lot of good things like to be said about a low-end gaming PC when you can, like stake out for like a week or two and just try to see if you can grab like a PS5 or an Xbox Series S.
Yeah, and if they didn't stop selling the 580s, I would use a 580 because that's a pretty good card.
You're talking about the RX 580s, right?
Yeah. We used to use them in the past. They're good cards.
Yeah, I love the 580.
Even 1060s. If there was 1060s, I would do a 1066 gig. It's not the greatest thing, but it's powerful enough to get you, in the hundreds range on some games.
So one of the, I don't know. So again, I watch a lot of tech stuff on YouTube, and usually when I'm playing games, I'll have like a tech podcast going on. I
Yeah.
listened earlier this week. I listened to a little bit of an interview of just a guy interviewing a. It's actually a pretty similar situation to what this is. One of the guys that I like to watch, he was interviewing a system integrator called, I think the company was called Silver Knight or something like that. It was like a North Carolina-based computer system integrator.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that he says that kind of helped them like through a long time is that they would end up buying like used mining cards for a lot of systems, and they'd resell it for a lot of people. Is there any interest for you guys to buy? Because I know right now China's pretty much cracking down on crypto mining like in a pretty big way. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of
there's
stuff
going to be
getting
a flood
sold
in
off.
the market.
Yeah, so are you guys kind of looking towards those crypto mining cards that are going to be sold off like pretty crazily to purchasing those and just purchasing them in bulk? Or are you still just kind of like, yeah, oh well, I'm just going to stick with the brand new stuff and pay like a little bit higher than it is to get it from China?
Here's the thing. We're definitely, looking at options on the table because we know how many GPUs are coming into the market from China. You're talking millions. However, a lot of those
hundreds of thousands.
I
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if millions.
Yeah, but a lot of those numbers though are unrealistic because just because they get caught in China doesn't mean they can't, go over to the next country over and buy a warehouse and just have stuff running there. So, I'm sure there's backup solutions but I understand, we are looking at stuff like that. However, we're a company that stands by our warranty, and what happens if we, ship out a mining card and 2 months later it breaks, then you're looking at a loss, and at the same time it tarnishes your reputation. I know mining cards don't really put much, because a few of my employees are miners, they're mining enthusiasts, but it's like, it doesn't put a lot of, stress onto things. However, you just have to think of it as a two-way street. Yeah, we can save money and get budget builds out there and other, really nice cards that have been barely used. But at the same time, if it goes wrong, is it worth it though?
Yeah, that's 100% valid. I think the main point that guy brought up is that mining cards actually, because I think their company was kind of like almost like a GameStop, whereas like they would buy cards from people if you brought it in and then kind of sell it or use it in systems if they can, and they just like refurbish it. And then they'd also do kind of the same thing. They sell those used cards to other people. But the main thing that they were saying is that actually getting cards from gamers were usually worse than getting cards from mining firms, just because of the fact that when people are mining cards, like they are using or mining cryptocurrency with graphics cards, they usually keep them in pretty good condition. They try
running at half power.
Yeah, so. And you're always you're trying to get the best voltage to hash rate ratio. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
It's definitely something on the table, but
so if you would ever consider doing, because you said that you're getting into the retail space, would you ever consider getting into that kind of buying people's old graphics cards and stuff like that and then selling them for a profit?
That is something we did talk about. Yeah, we did talk about that, and also we were going to offer, used builds as well. Of course, it would use, new components and whatever, but if people really wanted to walk in and get something that's a few $100s cheaper than, what's on our website, we do offer that. However, it's like, we can't offer a warranty for something that's used, but at the same time, you can come back in our store and we can fix it for a really small fee. So at least, it's not a complete, waste of time for anybody. But no, yeah, we are looking at things like that where people can trade in things. And if we test it and run it, we'll use it, but we're not going to use it for if somebody buys something brand new online. We would use it in store only, so people know exactly what you're getting.
Got it. I think the main thing from that particular interview was like they weren't going to use because they had to do like their own 48 validation testing on the people's cards before they'd even buy it from them. Just to make sure it's not going to crap out on them. So it's we're not even going to give you the money first. You got to have it sit here and run Furmark for 48 hours. And
that's what I would do too. You want to make sure.
Because, I mean, that's probably the same thing that a lot of these used, people who buy used stuff, have to deal with is you got to make sure that part's running good before you can even consider buying it. And that's usually just kind of the thing with like Craigslist and stuff like that, is that you gotta throw that trust in. And I think with like having an in-store location like you're kind of like talking about, it'd be great for people to buy you stuff because you kind of have that backing that like a big company's like, yeah, if it's broken, you know, we'll give you a new one, or like we'll give you something else to kind of replace it, because at a certain point it's like, yeah, it's we tested it, we put our validation through it and everything like that.
That's how light technology started. They were buying, you know, used parts and everything, and they were just pumping out builds locally, and that's how they got started, you know. So there's definitely a good market for it, and at the same time it has its benefits.
Yeah. All right, so Alpha Kiwi asks another question. He says, what motherboard is the beta getting? I think the one listed on the website is for AMD. Yeah, it is.
Yes, yeah, we're switching. It's weird. I totally switched the description earlier, but I got to do it again. It's doing the Asus Prime B450M, and that's only the one that we drawed up yet. We run things by our builder first because we want to make sure we're all in agreement that it's the best board possible. But we're definitely going to use some good Asus boards. I don't want to use anything that's cheap because
you say the B450M. Because that's an AMD.
I believe so, yeah.
That's an AMD.
No, they use Intel has.
It's B460. If that's
Let me check and see what it's.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. B460M. Yeah. I'm completely mad.
Yeah. So B460 chipset on. So that's gonna be both for the i5 and the i9. Do you guys not have the i7 offering on the beta anymore?
We're adding it.
You're adding it? Okay,
I had to get rid of it. Believe me, it was a long list of AMD products that we're getting rid of. We're going to add them to AMD builds later. But at the moment, yeah, the beta is going to get an i7 option. It's going to get storage options this weekend. But right now, the beta's pricing is a little bit broken because right now we have to... You know, the 3060, like a few weeks ago, was an option that would add, like, you know, a good chunk of change onto your bill because it's a, you know, a 3060.
Yeah.
But that's when we had 1660 super cards. So if you lose the entry card, now the 3060 has to be the entry card. So we're trying to lower costs by a few $100s across all of our builds. Also, we're going to be coming out with a record-breaking 3090 build that's going to be cheaper than anybody in the market.
That's great to hear. Can you give me some of the specs on it?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
So it's going to be using an i9, obviously.
Okay, so is it going to be a 10th gen or 11th gen?
You know, I'm not exactly sure. There's more 10th gens. I think I'm going to offer both, to be honest with you.
As a hardware enthusiast, I would say 10th gen just because of the fact that you're getting those 2 extra cores, and that the only upgrade that you're getting when it comes to 11th gen is just that single core performance, but I still feel like it's not that big of a deal.
All right, you ready to hear the specs?
Yeah.
You're gonna cry tears of joy. Okay. The RAM is going to be 4200 megahertz.
Okay. That's super fast.
And it's going to start off at 32 gigabytes. That's the standard, and it can go all the way up to we're thinking 64 should be the max, because I don't know, there might be a madman in his basement that wants to do 128. But
so is that just going to be 2 sticks for both configurations, or is that going to be 4 sticks for both configurations? Because you said 32 and 64 are going to be the 2 options.
I believe it's going to be 4. Whatever offers the best long-term speed and what makes the most sense.
Well, to put in my 2 cents, 2 sticks is going to be the better option, just because usually you can get higher sustainable speeds if you just are running 2 sticks at the same time instead of running 4. Like if you're looking to overclock memory, like most like big overclocking boards will only have 2 channels or 2 slots for memory. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, motherboard is indecisive.
Okay.
Because we want to pick something that's truly the cream of the crop.
Okay.
So we have to see, because I knew a lot of boards came out in the recent 2 months that were really good.
Okay.
From Asus and MSI. For the power supply, it's going to be a 1200 watt platinum.
From EVGA, I assume.
Yes, EVGA was very adamant yesterday. Hey, go with the 1200, not the 1000. I'm like, okay, no problem.
Got it.
So, definitely going to be rocking an EVGA 3090 black.
Okay, so 3090 black. Let me see.
It's called the Black Edition. I could look up the exact model.
Okay.
But we're going to be the only person in the market. We're going to be cheaper than everybody, and we're not going to charge you for overclocking the card. So it's going to come overclocked.
So from you guys, got it?
Yep.
Okay. So 3090 Black is like it's still it's a triple fan, but yeah, so it's like the lower end 3080 or 3090 compared to the For the Win 3, I think, right? Is the highest end version that you can get.
Yeah, we're also
okay.
checking. They just threw that because they have more of those than anything
yeah.
else. But we're definitely going to be doing either the 3090 Black, or excuse me, or the For the Win.
Got it.
They also tried to make us do the liquid cooling ones that are already in the EK
Yeah,
brick.
so the Kingpin or okay, it's the Kingpin.
That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw the price on it. I was like, nope.
Yeah, the Kingpins are usually, like, every generation the Kingpins are the most expensive cards that EVGA comes out with, but they're really good overclockers.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah. So what kind of case and kind of airflow setup are you going to get for that? Because that 3090 is going to be a bit of a hot one. I remember when I had that system from CLX, man, that whole, like, it was like a sauna in that room whenever that system was running.
Yeah. So we're probably going to go, we're trying to think of what case would probably go best with everything. We haven't decided, however. Lian Li definitely came up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was, again, willing to put the bag over my head and watch me die, because I was like, why don't we do a scorpion case? And they're like, that makes no sense. You're just trying to go crazy. So, there was like this cool scorpion case on Newegg, and I was like, oh, that would look so cool. And they're like, yeah, but, you can cook bacon on the top of it because it's completely open. It's just going to spew hot air out everywhere.
Yeah, so
probably a Lian Li case, tempered glass, something really nice.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I mean, most of the Lian Li stuff's usually pretty good. I would just suggest you make sure to get one with like a mesh front panel, because again, airflow with that 3090 is going to be kind of a big deal, especially with that memory on the back. That's kind of that was the main problem that we've kind of seen with the 3090s is it gets super hot.
And for the cooling, we're definitely going to go with a 3-fan cooler.
For like a 3
liquid cooling.
Yeah, okay, so 360 mil AIO, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds sick. How much are you gonna price it at?
Cheaper than anybody else out there. That's all I can say right now. We're still running numbers, but we're gonna beat everybody out there. And most of these companies charge you $100+ for overclock, and we want to do that as a bonus. Like, hey, it's already overclocked and ready to go.
Okay.
It won't be like a crazy overclock, but with the PC, it's gonna come with instructions in case somebody wants to overclock it themselves or learn how. But we're definitely going to do it enough to where it's worth the price, but at the same time not too much to where something could go wrong accidentally.
And EVGA told you that there's not going to be any conflicts with like returns or warranties and anything like that when it comes to overclocking?
Overclocking has its
yeah, because I mean there's definitely scenarios where, especially I feel like a 3090 is going to be the kind of card where you might get some problems if you overclock it to a certain point, or if just again you don't keep temperatures in check for a long period of time. So I didn't know.
That's something we're running on paper. We're trying to decide. The argument is, do we do it or do we not do it? Like, we're definitely running through the numbers, because you don't want to make a decision that can make things hurt you in the long run. But it's definitely a nice option to have on there, even if it is a paid option somebody wants to do. But right now we're just trying to have more incentives than anybody out there. But as far as that goes, yeah, we want to do an AMD model when we get more AMD products. We're going to make the competitor to it, but it is going to be called the Omega.
Got it. Cool. If I again just have to offer my 2 cents into this, again, it's your company, so you guys do what
please. I'm here talking to you now. I value your opinion.
Thank you. If I had to put my 2 cents in, I would say that the Black Edition really isn't meant for overclocking. If overclocking was like a big staple that you guys want to consider, I would honestly recommend the For the Win 3 if you're really going to consider it.
I like the For the Win 3s better than the Black.
It's a sexy looking card. It's a sexy looking card.
Yeah. Don't even get me started. I'll kill a man for the card.
But it's got the biggest thing is just it's got a way denser heat sink, and again that's the main thing. And they have heat pipes on the back of that card, so the back plate of that 3090 For the Win actually has heat pipes going across all of the memory, the GDDR6 on the back of the card. So that's like one of the few models of 3090s that if I had to buy one, that's the one I would go with, just because
and I'll
EVGA
definitely
did a
go
great
with
job with it.
Win,
Yeah. I mean, I know it's going to be more expensive because the black edition has got to cut down, kind of cooler compared to it. But yeah, the 4-in-1 is kind of the.
It's like $120, $140 difference, but it's not terrible.
Got it. All right, that sounds sick, man. I can't wait to see it on the site at least.
Yeah, because you definitely gotta wait till somebody orders it so we can get the pictures exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're definitely gonna, get that on there because that's one thing we've always considered. Let's do a 3090, but if you can't get 3070s and 80s, that's a problem. But no, EVGA is like, oh no, we got plenty of 3090s. They're like, we can give you, this and this a month. I'm like, oh, well, we better get started on a 3090 build then.
So here's another thing I don't know if you've considered. So the 3080 Ti is pretty much the exact same GPU as the 3090. But the only difference is that it's $300 less when it comes to quote unquote MSRP, and it has half of the memory, which again I still think 24 gigabytes is a crazy amount of memory for most gamers. I guess
12 is enough for me.
12 is a lot. I said I wanted 16 just because I want to have this card for a long time and I want to be able to edit videos and high resolution footage.
I love your PC, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, high resolution footage is kind of kills the VRAM on most PCs. So that's kind of the main reason I want that. Yeah.
No, I want to do that too. I want to offer a 3080 Ti because what if somebody wants an insane build, but they want to save a few $100, So I'll probably have a 3080 Ti, less.
That's honestly going to be kind of the way to go. I feel like, especially with that higher end build, like a 3080 Ti is like the base option. If you just want to go, if you're not a content creator and you just want to go above and beyond, you can go with that 3090. Yeah, that would be a great option. But yeah, I think that would be a great PC. I hope that a lot of people end up buying it. But yeah.
Believe it or not, so many people wanted 3090 PCs, and we were missing our cream of the crop. But we wanted to wait until EVGA was like, "Hey, you got the green light for 3090s."
Plus, that's where all the margin is that high end stuff. So hopefully, you guys can sell a crap ton of them.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. A couple guys in chat, they're saying they should do a Ryzen 9. Yeah, that sounds like one of the options that they're considering. I think they're kind of speculating on price right now in chat, so they're saying like it's going to be around $3,300 or $3,000 or $3,500. So sounds
it's going to be something. It's going to be something like that. A lot of these other companies want to do, like that's the base price. They charge like 20-something hundred just for add a 3090 if you're customizing even on CLX. Like you're talking a lot, and we don't want to go down that route. We want to be cheaper, but at the same time, people have to understand this is an absolute top 10 build you can build in the market. So it's going to be expensive. However, that's why you throw in options like 3080 Ti or other cooling solutions. Maybe if you want to, save a little bit of money here and there, especially storage solutions we're going to offer so people could save, at least up to $600.
So the one thing that I do want to say is that when it comes to like the companies like that you're gonna be going against, I probably wouldn't be stacking yourself up against like CLX and stuff like that because those are like they're always gonna have like way better or way higher prices than pretty much every other company. So like they're kind of the same class as Digital Storms, and those guys.
I just want to fall in the same category. Yeah. But there are companies out there that do charge an astronomical price for a 3090, and
So does that mean that you're looking to go for that customization route? Because that's kind of the main thing that CLX is like you're pretty much able to customize whatever PC that you want on their site. So is that kind of an avenue that you're at least looking is at least having like a custom system builder?
Yeah. So in the future, when we have AMD products, the store is going to be cut in half. One's going to be Intel, one's going to be AMD. So you got like 3 options a piece.
Okay.
Or 4 options if we find another solution for even a cheaper build. And basically, you customize that entire platform of the PC. But, it can't have too many options because then it takes away the entire point of, having different tiers and different PCs.
Yeah, and I mean, it also probably makes it a harder, like, logistical issue. I mean, the great thing with having only a couple models is that you can pretty much just crank out a bunch of models beforehand and just have them on the shelves and then just, I guess, update the little parts that you might need to here and there. Or just, if you only have, like, a few of them, like, because you only have 4 on the site right now, you're only having to buy 4 sets of, four sets apart, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, and that's honestly why it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I would hate to pump out, lots of orders for these cheaper like 16 series builds, and then they cut them off, and you're stuck with, all these parts and everything. So that's why we're trying to dumb down everything, and it goes against what I want. I want more budget builds, but at the same time, I'm not in control of what Nvidia and the market decides. So as things go more along, we're going to add more customization options in the next week and allow people to build, based off their budget, what they're looking for.
So I don't know if you've ever considered this, but if it doesn't become feasible again to offer any low end stuff just because of the fact that there's that console presence that's there, would you ever just think about, like maybe the low end stuff isn't just like for gaming PCs anymore? Like maybe gaming PCs at this point is going to be reserved to like people who are having to pay $1,200 plus. So if that was kind of a scenario that's going to happen, would you kind of lean pretty hard into that and just be like, all right, this is our $12,000 PC and we're going to scale it from this and we're going to give you great performance at that $12,000?
Yeah, no. So that's what we're kind of doing now. We're scaling down things to where people can start off at the 1,000 range and they can build upon their PC in that budget. But as far as low end goes, we definitely are considering an APU build with like a Ryzen. I know they released Ryzen to like a 5600G, and it was running not bad. So we're definitely going to go with an APU build for a low tier, and all you have to do if you save money is just slap a card in it, and congratulations. Like, you can have any build you want. So, we're definitely considering that.
And I can't remember if you do or not, but do you guys offer like an upgrade program? Like if later down the line they have a PC and they can verify that it's from you guys, that they can pay you to ship it back?
Yeah. So we have a supplier page. It has a password on it because, it's strictly just for companies. But if you're an IWN customer, we give you the password if you want to upgrade, and you get special pricing that only you can get if you purchased a PC. So if you want to upgrade parts, we give it to you for, of course we have to make money, but you're getting it cheaper than MSRP basically.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Trying to see what's going on in chat here. I haven't actually even looked up Redux's price yet. So I know Build Redux is kind of like one of those other companies that's kind of approaching to where you guys are when it comes to like price to performance. I haven't taken a look at them in months though. So let me see if I can find it. Build Redux, isn't that the name of it? Did you know that's a I think it's a Digital Storm subsidiary.
Really?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same company, but they just have a different branding there. Yeah, they really did change their company. Let me see here. Yeah, so it's pretty much a. So I gotta see the specs real quick. They make it kind of hard to see. All right, so when it comes down to pricing, so for $1,200, okay, so yeah, it's a bit more expensive than what you guys are offering, which is pretty much expected. But I do want to see what their higher end stuff has.
I love you too. No, I'm just kidding.
So they have so 16.6 or 6600. Just a plain 60 or 1660. I can't talk today. So for $1,400 you're paying for a 1660, which again, not amazing, but it's still not bad considered. Yeah,
for that price though.
I think the main kind of thing that they're going with is again the same kind of shtick that Digital Storms kind of goes with. Though I do think that they have better value overall when it comes to Digital Storms because first off, the case is actually a pretty nice case. It's the Cooler Master. Shoot, I can't remember the exact name. I think it's like Crystal, something like that. It's a Cooler Master case. It's a nice case. I love that. It's actually one of the best cases that I've had to build in. It's just the only problem is the stupid. I don't like the cases when you have to take the screws out the side of the panel. I'd rather have it in the back or have it a swing door. Honestly, worst places to put screws. And it's just like,
you know who I love using? Cougar. You'd be very surprised how good Cougar is.
Not one of my favorites, but I can see. It's just
high tier cases. They're good.
Yeah, but
at least from my experience.
It's just I feel like other companies just do it a tiny bit better. Like Fantakes is like one of those companies that Fantakes and Lian Li are probably the two companies that I would buy my cases from for the rest of my life.
Lian Li is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Lian Li first off has all of those budget cases that offer
50, 60 bucks, 70 bucks. It's not bad. The mesh, you get the 3-fan.
Well, I know I think it's Lian Li 205. I think is the one with like it's got like the solid front and it's got the vents on the sides of them. Those ones don't have amazing airflow, but in terms of being able to build them, I know when I used to build PCs for people, I used the 205M, I think was kind of the main one I would go to, which is like the micro ATX one.
You know who surprised me was for our alpha build, we bought these cases from Deep Cool. Fantastic case.
Yeah, so
our builder was like all over it.
Yeah, Deep Cool is again one of the okay ones I see out there. Again, you kind of have those different tierings, I feel like, of companies, of like the ones that are like known to be kind of like the budget guys who might cheap out here and there and kind of have like lower quality stuff, and then you kind of got the guys who are I feel like kind of running through I don't know how to describe it. And I guess you kind of only have two tiers, because then you have those guys, and then you guys kind of have Cooler Master, and then all the other companies up there that kind of offer everything from the crappy stuff all the way up to like, you know, kind of reasonable high end stuff. So I don't know. Usually I like to stick to those two companies, but again, it comes down to what you guys like as a company and whatever's feasible for purchasing, because I'm sure those AeroCool cases and Cougar cases are fairly cheap to buy from a wholesale standpoint.
We're definitely switching out to other things, but I like Cougar because even their, let's just say on paper, their $50, $60 case, it comes preloaded, it's tempered glass, it's really good airflow. We used to use it for the Recon. You know, tempered glass, it comes preloaded with
I know the one you're talking about.
Fans.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's really good airflow.
Got it. And is it so the other thing is the main reason that I don't like a whole lot of those companies is just because as you saw in the Scout, it wasn't too easy to do any sort of cable managing in that particular PC.
That Scout case was a long time coming, case.
So is that going to be kind of an improvement with that new Cougar case, I guess, with the Scout?
So the Recon, the case that was from the Recon, we're switching over to the Scout because it had a lot of room. It was really nice. The tempered glass was fantastic, and you know, we built upon that case before, and it had good room. So we're going to be switching some things over. When you get rid of two PCs off your website, you can kind of like play around with the leftovers and, you know, try to improve upon it. But no, we improved the power supply, we improved the case, and you know, now we're just trying to find what card or what solution we're going to use to fill in that, you know, GPU void that's going on right now.
Got it. All right. The last question I think we're going to do today, because we're pretty much at the two hour point. Yeah. Damien Contras asks, is there a way that I can apply to IWN?
Apply?
I don't like for a job. I assume. I don't know if this is a 100% serious question. I don't even know if you guys probably aren't even taking job offerings right now.
We do. We definitely, you know, hold applications, but as of right now, until retail opens up, we only offer like online options, like customer service and all that. But if if people go on our website, it has our Discord, it has our email there. If anybody's ever having a question or just wants to join our community and ask about a job, you know, it's not unheard of. You know, there's a few people even in our own Discord that want to work for us as soon as, you know, we open any retail space, or, you know, even as customer service, because, you know, when you have hundreds of customers, you know, that's a large base of, you know, phone calls and lots of questions and requests. So it's not unheard of. Just ask anything you want with our email or Discord.
So I assume Damien Contras, just go to their Discord and you probably get into contact with someone if they have any positions open.
Yeah, it's on our homepage. Get in touch.
So that about does it. I don't really have any more questions. Are there any other things that you want to talk about before we end up here?
No, I know things are going pretty good for you, and I know you're gonna keep yourself busy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With your channel and everything. In the future, I'd love to send you. I definitely want to send you a beta. Okay. I want to send you a big boy.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, man. I'll definitely love taking a look at that thing. And
I understand you're going to be busy from now on in a little bit, so you definitely got to plan upon that. But we'll keep in touch. If anybody from any community wants to join each other's Discords and ask questions and just link up, you know.
Yeah, we'll set up some stuff. if you want to stay on the call after we end this stream, I got a couple things we got to run over a little bit. But yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all we got to say. Thank you guys for stopping by today. If you guys want to check out the video, again, it's going to be uploaded at some point later today. I might have to do a couple edits through it because there might be some parts where I stuttered like crazy. Yeah, we'll just go through that. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.